Hi, everybody. Welcome to a breaking news live stream. Live streams were off last week because it was the 4th of July holiday here in the United States, but they're back with a vengeance this week. Not only will we be breaking down this first look at the new Wolverine costume for Deadpool 3, but on Wednesday, I'll be doing a breakdown of the Emmy nominations, which are going to be announced at 11 a.m., and then we'll have one more stream this week. 3 live streams a week, sorry. But also Movie Math will go up later today. Some of you didn't realize that Movie Math wasn't going up yesterday. Please pay attention to my announcements. I not only tweeted it, but I also made an effort this time to put it on the community message board on YouTube, so it should show up in your feed. I'm trying to keep you as informed as possible. Now, also, this is a breaking news live stream, which means no questions will be answered until the end. No comments. I mean, please, I really want to hear what you guys think, and please share your own thoughts while I'm talking. But because this is a breaking news story and I want to get all my thoughts out, I have plenty of graphics all prepared for you. You can ask me anything you would like at the end of the stream. All right, so just keep that in mind. And then before we get started, really quick, let me gift the memberships, because at the beginning of every week, I gift 5 memberships to match how generous you guys are. So hold on, here they come. I saw Bay gifted a membership. If you gift memberships during this live breaking news stream, I will not be able to thank you. But of course, I'm thanking you in advance. All right, let's see here. All right, here they come. Oh, yeah, baby. 5 memberships. Thank you so much, everybody, for your own generosity all the time. June of last month was the most gifted memberships ever on this channel, with approximately 2,000 memberships gifted. So you guys are extremely generous. All right, let's get started. As I said, I have plenty of graphics for you to see. All right, so I'm going to take down this this breaking news graphic, because I have so many other graphics, I need the space. All right, so new picture was released this morning, and we were all concerned that it was a leak, because there have been a copious amount of leaks for this movie, which I'm going to tell you why that is. But just a ton of leaks, tons of leaks. So this morning, Ryan Reynolds put this out. What social media platform did he use? He apparently put it out on his Instagram story, knowing that everybody would see it and it would spread like wildfire this morning. He could have posted it everywhere. He didn't post it as a regular, it's one of those things you have to go to the Instagram profile, and the video will go up very shortly, and then, you grab it and then you can share it otherwise. So why might he have done it? Well, also, if there's an actor's strike on Wednesday, I don't know if he could tease it. Because, for instance, Greta Gerwig is technically a writer as well, but she did her Barbie press. But her husband, for instance, who worked on the script with her, Noah Baumbach, refused to attend the Barbie premiere, and she pointed out that's because he's not going to cross the picket line. She's technically not supposed to be there either, but that's asking a lot of writers, I think, to not even do promotional activities. I don't even know if Ryan Reynolds could. Yeah, that's right, Neutral Man. Emmy nominations and the actor strike could be the very same day. But I don't even know if Ryan Reynolds could, put out. Mika, we'll do a poll later. I don't even know if Ryan Reynolds could put out a tease like this if the writers were to go on strike. So one reason that might have been, in addition to the writers' strike, there's also the situation that Comic-Con is a mess this year. Who's not showing? Marvel's not showing, which we've known for about a month now. But DC also is not going to be showing up. None of the studios are going. None of the major streaming services. Hall H is desolate, and even something like The Boys isn't going. Instead, The Boys is sending Gen V, because Gen V has to be released. Their spin-off show has to be released before The Boys Season 4. I thought maybe The Boys Season 4 might save Comic-Con, but they're not even going to be there there. And the Spider-Man video game is going to be there, as Nabby pointed out, but not anything from movies or shows. So I mean, I'm not even really planning to cover Comic-Con. The only thing that I think that's dropping in my space that's important is the Harley Quinn. The Harley Quinn season 4 trailer. Speaking of season 4s, that's going to be dropping on Thursday when they have the Warner Brothers animation panel. That's all of Warner Brothers that's really going. But because also that there's no Comic-Con, and I wonder if they coordinated this, because Black Panther also announced a new video game this morning with EA. But why would they announce this on the exact same day? Because Wolverine is trending quite high, whereas Black Panther is getting kind of close. But it's still, last I checked before I prepped the stream, hadn't been able to break into the top 10. But these sound like Comic-Con announcements, which would have happened next week, although that's great news for Barbenheimer, because now Barbie and Oppenheimer have the whole weekend to themselves and don't have to worry about competing with any Comic-Con announcements. That might be one of the reasons that Warner Brothers decided not to attend Comic-Con, was to make sure they didn't distract from Barbie, come to think of it. By the way, I heard the Wonka trailer is this week, so it seems they are going to release it this year. I also feel Warner Brothers doesn't really have any money, so I feel like they spent it all on the Barbie, on the Barbie publicity campaign. And I got to tell you, I think it was pretty well spent. Now, another reason that that Ryan Reynolds might have decided to do this today is that there are copious amounts of leaks for this movie. So many leaks. You know how many leaks there are for Deadpool 3? We are already approaching No Way Home levels of leaks. No Way Home, if you paid attention and you wanted to know, and you didn't even have to make much effort, you could know pretty much everything that was in Spider-Man No Way Home. Now, it certainly didn't hurt the movie. The movie made almost $2 billion without China. So everybody was very happy about that. Well, we'll talk about The Flash in a minute, but it did hurt The Flash. So, yeah, it's true. As SMR Goose says, it's very hard to avoid leaks these days. I'm going to confirm a couple of them today in this stream, in fact, because they're just so prolific and so everywhere, it's almost impossible to see them. But so a lot of leaks, and the reason you're getting so many leaks, but I think that the love of Spider-Man is what still propelled No Way Home. And a lot of people really love X-Men, both the comics, the animated series, and the movies. So I wonder if that could be at the level of the Spider-Man love. It certainly is for me. I've seen amazing things with Spider-Man, how it's performed across multiple parts of the brand, and it's amazing. It's very, very strong. But a lot of leaks, and the reason you're getting so many Deadpool leaks all of a sudden is that they're filming, and there are a lot of people on set, and those people are talking. From anywhere from a little higher, from higher ups to extras to assistants to even interns. And there's just so many people on a set working in so many different departments, and they are talking. It's rough. I think it's a little bit too many leaks, to be honest with you. But what are they going to do? But I think that's why Ryan Reynolds decided to post this picture, because he was like, it's going to leak. I might as well make sure it leaks a really good photo, and at least I can say that it was me, that it was intentional. Because, it's not a great look to have everything leak. Although, remember, as we've discussed, even though everything leaked from No Way Home, Sony refused to acknowledge it. Andrew Garfield swore up and down until the day the movie was released that he wasn't in it. They didn't allow any of the actors who were the multiverse actors to attend the premiere unless they'd included them in the trailer. And even then, not totally. Remember, we all knew Willem Dafoe was in it, but he wasn't allowed to do any publicity. And so I think that kind of worked. I thought that was really good. And so I think maybe Marvel should take a page from that playbook. I think The Flash made the mistake. Speaking of multiverse movies, The Flash, Andy Muschietti confirmed a lot of the leaks in advance. And I think that was detrimental to the film. Now, I wonder if people will have multiverse fatigue, right? So let's see. Not only do you have Spider-Man No Way Home, you had Multiverse of Madness, which was supposed to be Marvel's big multiverse movie, but now it seems that Deadpool is going to be the Fox multiverse movie, kind of saying goodbye to the Fox Marvel movies, which I think people could really enjoy. Then Spider-Verse, of course, is also a multiverse movie. This is a lot of multiverse movies. And then I forgot to include it, but all the Kangs. We're dealing with tons of Kangs, and then also a lot of Loki. Loki season 1 and the upcoming Loki season 2 is going to have a lot of variants in it. Who knows when that's supposed to come out in October. So I feel like that's a lot of multiverse stories, and a number of you after seeing The Flash were like, I kind of need a break from multiverse stuff. And then also there's What If season 2, don't forget. And as TJ Williams just pointed out, Invincible will probably be doing some multiverse stuff. I hadn't heard that, but I wouldn't be surprised. That's a lot of multiverse. Marvel can only hope that people take a multiverse break until this film comes out to kick off the summer 2024, next summer. But it's a lot. It's a lot of multiverse. All right, so the way that I'm going to break down my thoughts now, so that's just kind of like the intro. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the tea up front, and then I'm going to share my own thoughts on this first look, okay? But the tea, I know a lot of you want the tea, so we're going to start with the tea, all right? There's I believe almost the entire film has been described online. You have to go and look for it to some degree. I really am not going to share something like that because I think that's just too much. But again, as I told you, I try to walk this fine line. All right, so some of you, when you saw this costume this morning, said, that looks really cool, but I don't know if I want to look at Wolverine for the entire movie wearing that yellow suit. Well, don't worry, you won't have to. I'm hearing that the rumors are true. There will be not only multiple Wolverines throughout the entire film, all played by Hugh Jackman. So he's probably going to wear a lot of different costumes, which is phenomenal. But there will also be multiple Deadpools, not all played by Ryan Reynolds, because you can see there's a lot more variation when it comes to Deadpools. I would love there to be a lady Deadpool. I heard that there probably will be. So you're going to have all these different Deadpools, and I think that's obviously a great opportunity for comedy. You guys are all on the same page. I have it ready. Gwenpool? I was wondering this myself. Will Gwenpool show up? I have not heard that yet. I haven't heard that confirmation specifically. I did hear Lady Deadpool, and I think some of the more obvious choices, like the Deadpool Corps that you're seeing there from the comics. I think Gwenpool is a little bit too Spider-Verse, to be honest with you, but if they could get Emma Stone. Now, here's the thing. Don't forget that Sean Levy and Ryan Reynolds, who did Free Guy together, and they're reteaming for Deadpool 3, they were very, very good at getting cameos for this movie. And Chris Evans was a genuine surprise. Nobody knew that Chris Evans showed up, and that was so cool. I don't know about Blake Lively as Lady Deadpool. I didn't hear that's who it would be, but that's a great choice. I would think that would be fabulous. But I haven't heard if it's Blake Lively. But now that you've said it, I don't see how it can't be. Especially because you'll never see her face. You're never supposed to really see anybody's face. So we'll see. But that seems like, I don't know how they couldn't do that. But if anyone can I agree, Kay Walton. Now, if it's not Blake Lively, I'll be supremely disappointed if she's not Lady Deadpool. But if they could get Emma Stone back to be Gwenpool, and Emma Stone, I think, would do it, I think everybody would be very excited. Now, of course, one thing that leaked in a major trade, no less, okay? By the way, just before we move on to this, I just want to say, sorry, Gwenpool. Gwenpool is very popular. I'm not a huge Gwenpool fan, but she is popular. But I'm excited to see all these different Wolverines and Deadpools. I think that's really exciting, and I'm really impressed that Ryan Reynolds isn't playing all of the Deadpools, that he's willing to share, and I think that's a really, really good idea. So I like that quite a bit, and I think that's going to be great, and I think it's going to keep the movie moving along. If you're constantly getting new variants on the characters, I think you're going to be like, oh, this is exciting. Who are we going to see next? I hope not every single costume leaks in advance. Because, it's one thing to hear about it. Like when we all heard about Nicolas Cage as Superman, it was quite another to see it in the movie. I don't think I would have wanted to have seen it in advance. Although, as soon as this movie plays in a single country, people are going to go on and film it in the theater and post it to social media and YouTube, which I think is a new disturbing trend, and I don't know why they don't work a little bit harder to combat that. All right, so yes, it was confirmed by The Hollywood Reporter on Friday that Jennifer Garner, who looks better than I remember as Elektra, will be returning. And I had heard rumors that Ben Affleck was going to come back also as Daredevil. I have mixed feelings about that, quite frankly. I love seeing Jennifer Garner come back, and I'm curious if she can still do the action. You know, of course, back in the day, she was, when she did Alias, which is how she got Elektra, she was really famous for doing action sequences. And she did a couple of like action movies, and she did one like a few years ago, which was like a kind of a female version of Taken, which are all the rage now. Every older actor wants to do that. But she kind of moved away from doing action sequences. But yeah, Peppermint, that's the movie. Thanks, Cosmics. But she looked pretty good there, actually. And I think she looks kind of like, you know, she could be of Greek heritage, which, you know, I think today you could never cast Jennifer Garner as Elektra, but they did that. You know, I wonder if Deadpool will make a joke about it, where it's like, you don't look very Greek. That would be hilarious, you know? So anyway, I'm glad she's coming back. I have mixed feelings about Ben Affleck coming back because I feel like that's too much. You know, I feel like he was just in The Flash, and I think that it becomes less about Daredevil coming back and more about Ben Affleck just picking up another paycheck. And especially since, I mean, is he out of comic books or not? But, you know, you never know who might show up. You know, I think there's all different types of people, wink, wink, nudge, nudge, who could show up. And I think, you know, if anyone can talk someone into doing something for fun, I think it's definitely Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy. So pretty exciting. So let's see here. Let's let that kind of stuff sink in. So then we're going to talk about some other stuff about the X-Men. All right, so let's see here. Haha. Now, one of the nice things about this is that we get to see the Fox animated, suit. Okay. Oh, I skipped ahead a little bit here. Hold on. Wait a second. What happened? Oh, I forgot to add this. Give me a second. I got to add this image. No wonder I messed up. Okay. I thought I added this. Hold on. 1 second. So frustrating. There they are. There they are. Okay. So, as I told you a while ago, and now everybody else is confirming, okay, the Fox X-Men are all returning for this movie, particularly the main ones. Famke Janssen, Halle Berry, James Marsden, all coming back, okay? Now, I also heard, and I didn't love this, okay, that they're going to be de-aged. I hope they're not de-aged in every single time that we see them. That would be very disappointing to me. And by the way, I think that for the most part, they all still look fantastic. I think Famke Janssen, and you know, I want to be sensitive about it, but I feel Famke Janssen's had maybe a little bit too much work done. So, but I don't care, you know, I mean, whatever. I think it's important. I think they should just look like they look now. But I think, yeah, that's funny, Mika. How can you de-age Halle Berry? That's pretty funny. And I gotta tell you, I think James Marsden looks pretty much the same. But I really would not, I'm not a fan of de-aging them, but that's what I heard they were going to do. So they're bringing back these X-Men, right? And so, but what I wonder, now I can bring in the Fox animated X-Men, are they all going to get to wear comics accurate costumes? Well, we see all of them show up and look like this. Will James Marsden get to wear the blue and yellow? Will Famke Janssen have the ponytail? Will Halle Berry get the all-white Storm costume? That to me would be quite interesting. And I hope that doesn't leak, but I'm curious to see if that's going to work. Now, I will tell you, hold on, all right, that I don't think that it worked. Where'd it go? I don't think that it worked in Multiverse of Madness with Patrick Stewart. I thought that the chair was off model. I thought the chair was too big. That was a problem for me. And I mean, it was cool to see him do the pose, but I felt like he just did it. It looked like he was doing it because someone told him to do it. It didn't really look like he wanted to do it. Someone was like, Patrick Stewart, you're supposed to do this. And he's like, oh no, wait, I'm doing it backwards. He's like, okay, like this, like that's what I'm supposed to do. And you're like, good enough. Like, so it didn't work. So the chair was too big. He looked too small in it. It just didn't work. So if they all look like that, I'm not going to be happy about it. All right? But we can tell that Kevin Feige's obviously a really big animated series fan. But he also likes the X-Men movies because he, of course, that was his first big gig in Hollywood. He was working on that with Lauren Schuler Donner. But let's say, by the way, these X-Men, the Fox X-Men, are going to be in Deadpool 3, then they're going to show up in Secret Wars, and then they're done. And then we'll probably get the MCU X-Men after that. So, they're going to be around for a little bit, which is awesome. And as I said, Kevin Feige clearly loves the X-Men. I do too. I'm a huge X-Men fan. And he's working with both of these. So he clearly, I'll say it a little bit at the end, okay? But I feel quite strongly that I would love the MCU X-Men to have a mix of these two costumes, to look like these two. Because I think nostalgia is really important. But I think we all feel nostalgia for both of these things. And so I kind of wouldn't want them to be totally very colorful all the time like they are on the right. I kind of liked X-Men in all black, and I kind of like that they kind of a team, more of a team look. Like they are a team. The X-Men, for all their solo adventures occasionally in the comics, they kind of are supposed to be a group. And I like that. I like playing up the team aspect because, they have no one else but each other. All right, so let me give my thoughts on this, all right? So hold on. All right, so here's Wolverine's comics accurate suit, just so you can see it. And as you can see, that's ridiculously accurate. I'm shocked at how accurate that is. But as I just said, I think the nostalgia is for both. I think some people will be like, oh my God, it's like the comics and it's like the animated series. But some people obviously are going to be like, oh, I really like it when he wears the all black, So I think he's going to be doing both probably because he's playing multiple versions of Wolverine. But yeah, that's ridiculously accurate to the comics. I'm shocked. It's very bright. They're both very bright. They both got brighter. And it does look a lot like a comic, right? It does look very much like the comics. Comics, particularly Marvel comics, are bright. And so, wow, my eyes. They had muted the red for the Fox Deadpool movies, but now they kind of have, they brightened it up. And we all saw that a couple of days ago, but you can see. And by the way, I'm very impressed that Wolverine's able to keep his costume so clean. I guess he's like, I would run after you, but I have to keep this to look good. So that's good. Now, my first thoughts when I saw this image this morning, my first thought was, is that a leak? And then once I saw it was official, I was like, I can't believe they actually made the yellow suit look good. And then my next thought was, honestly, and I can see a number of you have already said it, it's weird they're the same height. They're not supposed to be the same height. And it plays it up even more when they make it comics accurate. When you do Wolverine from the Fox movies, you're like, oh yeah, it's Hugh Jackman Wolverine. Awesome. I love he and Ryan Reynolds have a great rapport. This is going to be fun. But when you put him in a comics accurate suit, I'm like, he's too tall. He is, he has like Cyclops' physique. He's not as small and he's not as broad as Wolverine is supposed to be. Wolverine is supposed to be a brawler. So it's very different. So it's weird. They look like equals, and that's kind of not the way it's supposed to go. I mean, they're certainly equals in terms of popularity and all that, but they have the exact same build. And it also points out how much their suits look similar. Their suits actually look very, very similar. So let's talk about that. Hold on. Let me get rid of the Wolverine comics thing. Oh, by the way, first I want to say, I also think it's interesting that they are both going to have cowls. And I wonder if they'll do the moving eyes thing like Deadpool does. Because, think about it. The whites around the white eyes and the darkness around their eye areas looks exactly the same between the two suits. If you put a cowl on Wolverine, they're going to look even more similar. If they do a cowl, to me, the wings need to be much bigger. If he has, I don't know. You don't want him, then they're going to also look a lot like the Screama sticks coming out of the back of Deadpool's suit, which is kind of weird. Maybe they shouldn't be big. Maybe they should be smaller. But I'm sure if he's looking this comics accurate, he's definitely going to put a cowl on at some point as one of the Wolverines. Because why do this if you're not going to go all the way? But they look very twinsies, and I wonder if Wolverine will talk about that. They look these suits are very similar. So I have a little pointer here so you can see what I'm talking about. Now, let me bring up the Wolverine suit again. Hold on. I am impressed with even the detail work, like you see at the neck, the way it comes in like this, just like the suit. I'm really impressed that those things are all there. I'm impressed that the gloves are accurate. He's not sleeveless. He's not, the gloves are built into the suit. But that's freakishly accurate. Nope, not even, I'll tell you right now, not even any of the MCU characters have been this comics accurate, which leads me to believe that Kevin Feige really is a very strong X-Men fan. Also, maybe he feels this is what he brings to the table. Since the Fox has already done the X-Men twice, he's like, what do I bring to the table? Ridiculous comics accuracy. And I wouldn't be surprised if we saw something similar for the Fantastic Four, particularly since the Fantastic Four are going to start out in the 1960s. So you can do an original comics accurate costume, and then by the end of their movie, they look, they have their new comics costumes. So that's, I think, interesting. But even, they even have even the build is similar. The way they have the sides, the darker sides, but the strip of color up and down the middle, down through the hips. These are very, very similar. I agree, 50 pence. The comedy things here for Ryan Reynolds to play with are fantastic. He's like, you single white femaled me. Why do we look exactly the same? I think that the hair is smaller on Hugh Jackman, but I think it kind of works. It gives him a little bit more of, again, that streamlined look. He doesn't have an X-Men logo for his belt, though, because I'm not sure why he doesn't have an X-Men logo, quite frankly, because, Wolverine was in the X-Men. So, although that would make him even look more like Deadpool, who also has a belt buckle that is his logo. So that's hilarious. That's right. I've that scatterbrain. I've seen a couple of people doing ketchup and mustard jokes already. The boots look incredible. I do think the suits seem more tactical. Captain America has knee pads built into his costume. I think Black Widow and Hawkeye must have, but they never were that clear to me. They looked more streamlined. But these do seem a little more military-esque, and as I said, very tactical. These look more like tactical suits to me than costumes, which I think is nice. Deadpool has always looked tactical because he's a mercenary who's supposed to have all these things, that he can pull at a moment's notice. But Wolverine has never had a very tactical look. So, and even his comics costume isn't tactical. So I kind of like that they mix the tactical thing in here. It makes it look more real and a little bit more grounded, which I think is why it maybe also works more that Hugh Jackman can wear it. The one thing that doesn't work, though, is when you think of the gloves. Now, I'm impressed that he has the guides on the glove. On Wolverine's glove, he has 3 metal things that his claws go through so he doesn't tear up the top of his gloves. Do you know how hard it is to keep a glove in one place on your hand? I find it almost impossible that when he's moving around in an action that he can deploy his claws and not tear up the top of his gloves. Now, this is a nitpick. Obviously, it looks cool. I don't care. But it did occur to me, and I think that maybe he should have, I don't know if you could have an opening, but I would think you would put some kind of mesh material that, would, not be a problem. So, we'll see what they decide to do. But it looks amazing. But it looks really cool. But I'm like, no way that's going to line up. Maybe they'll make a joke about it. Maybe it'll make a joke. But I like it. I think it looks really, really good. So those are my thoughts on the costume. And I said, let's see. Now, I think that with the X-Men, let me bring back both the X-Men again. The Fox X-Men and the X-Men animated series. I would be happy if, we would see let's get the original character costumes from the comics and the animated series out of our system in Deadpool 3. Be like, oh, cool, we got to see them in live action. Wasn't that neat? I don't really want to see that for the MCU X-Men. I don't want the MCU X-Men to be this bright. It will be cool maybe once to see them come over the top of a hill or enter as a team together looking like that. I'll admit, I'll geek out as an X-Men fan. But I don't want to see the MCU X-Men running around in bright colors. I prefer, what I would really like? Either some kind of combination with this, incorporating their colors into the black leather. Or I kind of really like, and these costumes were based on the movies, the Fox movies, but I really liked what Grant Morrison did. I thought that Grant Morrison's new X-Men costumes were fabulous. They had the bright yellow for the X-Men, but they had the black leather of the movies. These kind of are combinations already. Now, of course, Emma Frost had one of the most infamous or famous costumes ever because she did a reverse X cutout on the front of her costume, and she still kind of does a little bit more of a conservative version of that today. She still does variations on that. But I kind of like this costume. That's right. Mish, Dark Phoenix had these jackets, but I didn't think they looked quite as good as this. They still looked, these were like leather jackets. I think Wolverine just taking his jacket off and going shirtless and going feral kind of worked. So this is kind of something that I would like. Grant, you didn't like the art for the Grant Morrison run, Pumpkin? DeShazer? I loved it. New X-Men is one of my favorite runs of the X-Men comics. It's incredible. But I kind of would like this to be the look. But yeah, as I said, some kind of variation of the two. I don't want them to be fully bright. Okay, so let's that's my thoughts on this. That's my breakdown. Let's do a poll, and also this is the Q&A section. So now, hold on, let me move the animated X-Men so I can put the Q&A up so you know what we're doing. Little smaller. And then this is the Q&A section. Hold on, where'd it go? There we are. All right, poll. All right, start a poll. We'll do the first one will be Wolverine's height. Is it weird? Maybe one time he'll be small. So we'll do not at all. Then a little, but can't be helped. And then it is. And then we'll do another poll on the costumes in a minute. All right, so hold on. Let me get to the Q&As. All right. I am on Threads, for those of you who asked. I have to remember to post on there, though. I've been pretty good. All right, let's see here. Grayson says it's Wanda in the movie. I haven't heard anything about Wanda being in this film. That's not to say that she won't be, and maybe Elizabeth Olsen is a great actress, saying that she's not talking about Marvel or paying any attention because she doesn't have anything coming up. But I don't think that Wanda would be, to be honest. I think this is more about the Fox X-Men, okay, and the Fox universes. I think that Wanda is going over with Agatha Coven of Chaos and stuff like that. The TVA is in this movie with Matthew McFadden from Succession playing Mr. Paradox. Paul Brunel says, do you think 1.5 billion is a lock? I think $1 billion, definitely. Paul, it's hard to say for sure if I think this will do $1 billion. I would think so, but Flash so imploded that, I think, you can't totally be sure at this point. I think it will make definitely as much as the other Deadpools, but I do worry about all the leaks. That makes me a little bit nervous. Toe99 said, oh, that's funny, Toe99, that your image is actually of a toe. Grace, do you think this is the last Deadpool solo movie and it's just cameos for the future of the MCU? Not if it makes $1 billion. I think they'll just keep doing it. This is clearly Ryan Reynolds' most successful franchise. It's extremely, I would think at least maybe 1 or 2 more Deadpools if this does well. And I see no reason why it wouldn't. Cole Jackson says, Magneto better stay Jewish. He is one of the few major Jewish characters, and it's integral they keep his background. Reeks of anti-Semitism if they do not. Well, I would hope so. It is integral to the character. Although I have to say, I think there is some chance that they could swap in a different, persecuted group and feel that it would work. There have been rumors of race bending Xavier and Magneto because the characters have been done so much. But I think a lot of people, Cole, would be upset about it, and Kevin Feige's going to have to tread very lightly there. Austin, it was confirmed recently by one of the actors in the film that it's not just an R, but a hard R. Callahan, McKeon, that's right. Owen Wilson will show up in this movie, but I don't think he will have as big a role, obviously, as Matthew McFadden. I think Owen Wilson will probably show up and it'll be funny, but Matthew McFadden is really filling in the TVA portion of this film. That's right, Asami. Kitty Pryde is a very important Jewish character. And they are bringing in Sabra, by the way, the Israeli super soldier. Well, now she's a super soldier. She was a mutant in the comics. into the upcoming Captain America 4. Antonio says, do you think that Rogue will be comics accurate this time? I sure hope so. I think Kevin Feige, that's a slam dunk. It's an easy slam dunk for him to do that correctly. But I will say, I hope Anna Paquin gets to do it at least once. She really deserves it. And I thought when she had in X-Men Days of Future Past, even though they cut her out, she looked pretty close to comics accurate already there. Josh Zeitler said, is Stryker the villain? I saw some chatter online. I didn't hear that specifically, but I have not been seeking out Deadpool spoilers because I was a little bit frustrated that I knew absolutely everything in No Way Home, to be honest with you. So sometimes I'll get them, and sometimes I'll want to confirm something that's like everybody's talking about, but I'm not digging for Deadpool spoilers because I don't want to. It's fun to experience it in the theater. Trace Hancock says, do you think they will power up Storm properly? Yes, I think everybody should look the right way. Everybody should be doing it correctly, and I think that's extremely important. DL Nugro says, will Elliot Page be in this movie? I've seen a couple of you ask about that. I have not heard about Elliot Page being in the film. I don't know how Elliot Page could, you know what I would do? I think Elliot Page, to be honest with you, should be in the movie. I don't think Deadpool 3 doesn't need a bunch of headlines about how Elliot Page, because he transitioned and now is living the life that he wants to, got cut out of this celebration of a franchise that Elliot Page was well known for. So you don't need that headline. But of course, Elliot Page has transitioned and cannot play Kitty Pryde. But it's a multiverse movie. So it's very simple. In one multiverse, Kitty Pryde is Kevin Pryde or something like that. And let Elliot Page have a cameo. I mean, that seems to me so clearly what to do. I have not heard anything about that, but that's a really easy workaround. And I think that would be great. And also I wonder, Deadpool is supposed to be a pansexual character, so that could be an opportunity to address it. Hey, King of Diet Coke. Active Mind Production says, thoughts on the young En Sabah becoming a young X-Men? The X-Men comics are not great these days, so I guess that doesn't surprise me, but I'm sure it's not particularly good. Links, there will be a movie math later today, for sure. It might be late because it takes a long time to do movie math, and I'm getting a late start because of this huge breaking story, but I promise you it will be up by the end of today. Not the workday necessarily, but by the end of today. Callahan, when you wake up tomorrow, if you are in a different time zone, it will 100% be there. Callan McKeon says Giancarlo Esposito needs to be Professor X. I really like that casting, to be honest with you, and I would love to see it. Devin Henderson said, is there any chance that Feige will not redo the original X-Men after bringing Fox's X-Men back, instead focus on New Mutants or others that haven't been featured? Devin, I think that would be such a huge mistake, I can't even begin to start. People don't, it's like him doing all these characters that nobody cares about now. Do the regular characters. I heard that the Disney Plus Marvel shows are doing so poorly that they're going to pull back on them and try to focus on popular characters because it's such a disaster. All right, hold on. The poll says, is it weird that Wolverine is so tall here? 54%, although that is just 54%, say not at all. 39% say it can't be helped, so a little, but whatever. And then just 6% say that it is. And I agree with that. There's nothing you can do about it, so whatever, All right, let me put up another poll, and then I'm going to say, what do you want the MCU costumes to look like? What should the MCU X-Men costumes look like? Comics, animated, accurate. Fox movies, accurate. Combo of the two. And then we'll do something totally, something mostly new. It's going to have some references. Something mostly new. All right. So this is, anyone can vote. You have to be a member to comment, but you don't have to be a member to vote in a poll. All right, hold on. FM Sorcerer says, will Deadpool meet the MCU in this? If not, when? Again, I told you I'm not searching out spoilers for Deadpool 3, so I have not heard anything about that, but I'm not looking for it. Trisha Monger says, is there a villain in this movie? Yes, remember the actress or actor, I think they're non-binary, who played Princess Diana in The Crown? They are, I believe, the villain here. All right, let me go back here. Lee Riddle says, hoping Anna Paquin has a cameo. Wolverine and her relationship was a big part of the original films. Great point. Great point. Trisha says, is this or Captain America 4 coming out first? This is coming out first. Captain America 4, you might recall, got pushed back to late July. And this is taking the summer kickoff spot, which I think is a good idea. I think this is a better movie for that. Nicholas says, hi, Grace. With the original Fox X-Men, are the 2005-2004 Fantastic Four also coming back? I heard this was a celebration of all Fox X-Men movies. So I did not hear that confirmation specifically, but I did hear it was everybody. I mean, if Jennifer Garner's coming back, how do you not bring back the Fantastic Four? So let's see. All right. So King of Diet Coke says, do you think they'll really do the Scarlet Witch 838 plot? I'm not sure. Toe99 says, Grace, this is off topic, but I was wondering if you ever watched Knights of the Old Republic cinematics. It is off topic, Toe99. I've not. Let's see here. Nabby, if you asked a super chat before I opened up the Q&A, I'm sorry, I just missed it. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. Devin says, I love the idea of 90s cartoon comics for this multiverse movie, then back to realistic for the rest of the MCU. I'm glad you agree. Colton Manning says, should the MCU Wolverine be short? Yes, I think the MCU Wolverine, it's a tough call. I think there's no replacing Hugh Jackman, who, as you can see, clearly looks almost exactly the same and hasn't skipped a beat. I don't want Hugh Jackman light. But, you know, I do like Taron Egerton a lot. I would prefer a Wolverine that was more comics accurate and that he was a little bit more of a grisly, rough and tumble kind of guy. Just so that it was very different from what Hugh Jackman did, you know, quite frankly. But Hugh Jackman was so popular in the role, you know, Kevin Feige might get nervous and do a Hugh Jackman light. Nate Jones says, do you think Secret Invasion will have any role in this movie or anywhere in the MCU? Nate, I think Skrulls are going to stick around and probably Super Skrulls, but I think let's see, but I don't think they're going to be in this movie. There's no reason to put this in this movie because they're already jam-packed with Fox characters in the TVA. I don't think you need Skrulls in there as well. I'm not saying there might not be a Skrull joke, you know, for a very quick joke. I think this is going to be very much like Free Guy, which is why they hired Sean Levy to direct again. But that's my thoughts on that. Icona Stone says, I want them to be closer to the styling of Winter Soldier. Oh, you mean for the costumes? That's interesting. Yeah, I liked that. I liked the darker, more serious thing. Ozzy G says, Grace, do you think Deadpool 3 will succeed more than Flash because general people only know the Fox X-Men and it isn't as fractured as the various Batmen? Well, that's a good question. How many people love the animated stuff? You know, I think most people like the X-Men movies from Fox. That's what most people know. There's a whole bunch of people, like friends that I have, who don't read the comics, who yellow Wolverine means nothing to them. And so I think that's another reason maybe you don't want to do that for the MCU X-Men, because I would say the majority of people only are nostalgic for the black leather, and the other stuff to them is not, it's a smaller audience. I'm sorry. I should have clarified. Emma Corrin, not Elizabeth Debicki, not the older Princess Diana, but the one who played her when she was much younger. Tony says, after Halle Bailey, I'm very against race bending any white characters, you don't want to race bend any white characters. Not worth the hate they get, including changing Xavier. Well, Tony, I got to tell you, I think it's different. And I'm sad to say that it is different. It's unfair to Halle Bailey, to be honest with you, but I just think it is, sadly. I think women have a tougher time, which is sad. We'll do a poll on that in a second. And then I also think Giancarlo Esposito is an established actor that everybody loves. So I think that's big. I think he is perfect for the role. and as that established version of himself. So I think people are like, oh yeah, he's a perfect Professor Xavier. I think also, and the other thing is that's very important, is that they've already done so many versions of Professor X at this point. You know, I think it's one of the reasons that everybody loves Miles Morales' Spider-Man, even though it's not a race-bended version of the character. But everybody's like, oh wow, this is fresh, this is new, we love it. And so I think that, and also because the X-Men are a team and there are so many different characters, I think and a lot of them will not be race-bended. I have no problem with, like, if you did Denzel Washington and Giancarlo Esposito, I think everybody would feel good about it, to be honest with you. I think that's great, you know, and I think you would, I mean, I do think the Jewish community might get very upset about it, but, you know, it works for me. All right, hold on. Let me end this poll, and then I'll ask a poll about the race bending the characters. So, as for the new MCU X-Men costumes, 41% of you said a combo of the two, which is what I wanted. 34% want something comics accurate. So you can see that's small. People wanting it to be just comics and animation accurate. That's only 34%. 19% want something mostly new. But that's interesting. Only 4% of you want it just to be to the movies. So that's great. That's very cool. I'm glad so many of you are familiar with the comics. But yeah, I think so. But I guess you could look at it another way, that overwhelmingly 75% want some nod to the comics in there, which is great. Trisha says, do you think the Disney drama these days will affect this movie? I don't. I think this will feel more like a Fox movie, to be honest with you. But that's an interesting question. That's an interesting question, Trisha. Thanks, John. That's very kind of you to say. Miss Bubble says, looks like I'm going to see Deadpool opening weekend. I haven't attended an opening weekend in years. You're also going to try and avoid spoilers, I think. Trace Hancock says, Fabian Frankel, Sir Kristen Cole as MCU Wolverine. Oh, that's not a bad idea. He could maybe do it. Kayla Babb says, Flash movie should have been an original movie, as the general public didn't know the background. Maybe. I think also the problem that the Flash was on the CW for so long was a really big problem. And Jacob C. says, do you think we'll get to see Famke Janssen as Phoenix and do it justice this time? Yeah, I think that's going to be a big thing. Finally getting to see what you wanted and didn't get to see for so long. I'm happy too, Bell Trailers, as a huge X-Men fan. John Meisenheimer, thank you for gifting a membership. That's right, Shay. I want to see all the Storm powers for sure. Raphael, I agree that Wanda had an incredible costume in Multiverse of Madness. It was comics accurate, but yeah, looked very real. And Tony says so we already did the Tony thing. All right, hold on. Let me do a new poll. How would you feel about race bending Xavier and Magneto? Depends on actors. Sure, why not? Oh no, sure. Done so many times already. And then, heck no. I gotta tell you, the X-Men, they have some diversity, but they're not as diverse as I'm sure that they would like them to be. Deandra says, would you like to see a nod to the 2015 Fantastic Four? I think so. I mean, I think yes. Somebody mentioned that before. If you're doing all the Fox Marvel stuff, you got to do it. Trisha says, if this bombs like The Flash, will Marvel be over? I don't think this is going to bomb. I think it's almost impossible for this to bomb. Toe99 says, Grace, do you think the animated X-Men will stay animated like how the live-action characters stayed? Oh, no. That would be funny if they did an animated bit, though, Toe99. That's a great joke. They could go in, we were disappointed that there was such a small, short animated section in Multiverse of Madness and when they went through that one, paint universe. But I could totally see them doing an animated sequence, particularly since they've been working on it for the X-Men 97 show for Disney+, although who knows when that's coming out. I heard the Marvel animated shows outside of What If are having huge problems, which is why it's taking so long. I saw that Tennessee Shad, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. So that's very interesting. Bartleby says, hey Grace, I've always loved Jubilee and have always wanted to see her done justice on the big screen. What are your top X-Men characters you would want to see on the big screen that haven't been done right yet? I don't think any of them have been done right. So everybody, the whole group, they all need to be done correctly. And GAP says, Grace, is Sophie making a cameo as young Jean Grey? I don't know about those X-Men. I don't know if X-Men First Class is going to cameo. I think that might be more complicated to do. If anyone can do it, it's Ryan Reynolds. But I don't know quite sure if he could do it. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Trisha says, I've never been so excited for a Marvel movie since Avengers Endgame and Infinity War. And I'm hyped. Same as me, Trisha. We're living the same life. I'm very excited for both. Gigi, Stephanie Sue as Jubilee is a great idea. Let's see here. Let's see, did I miss anything there? I think I'm all caught up on the question. Oh, Bingeful says Jean will have powerful moments. I think so. I can't imagine why she wouldn't. Okay, I'll give you a few more minutes to vote in the poll. Let's see here. I agree, TM. And Dane said, Lana Condor wasn't a bad Jubilee. She just didn't really get an opportunity. So maybe they would bring in Lana Condor. I think, why have, again, she has her fans. Why have the drama of her fans being upset? Bryce Ratliff says, I saw a lot of Jewish people offended when Wiccan and Moon Knight were not Jewish. I think Magneto not being Jewish is a huge slap in the face. I agree, Bryce. I think that Kevin Feige isn't but Moon Knight was Jewish. The actor wasn't Jewish, but the character of Moon Knight was Jewish, Bryce, in the show. Subasiso says, Grace, the young X-Men did have that wink-wink cameo in Deadpool 2. Well, you have to remember that they were still a thing when Deadpool 2 came out, and I think they were kind of filming. So it was easier to do the cameo because they were already all on set, and they just had to walk over and say, hey, will you do this one little quick cameo? It would be, I think, a different thing altogether to assemble them. Like, I don't really know if Nicholas Hoult wants to come back, And I'm sure Jennifer Lawrence does, although maybe now she would, actually. Maybe she would. Although if Jennifer Lawrence Mystique shows up and not Rebecca Romijn, the audience is going to be upset. They're going to be like, what? Randy, I did tease a certain cameo earlier in the stream. That's right, Marduk. They don't necessarily have to have the same ethnicity. They could have gone through different things, because also a lot of people have, the X-Men have represented and been related to by a lot of people or groups that have had issues, from the civil rights movement to also the LGBT movement. And it's a big part of the X-Men fan base. Active Mind says, thoughts on Laura X-23 being the new Wolverine in the MCU. I think that's a mistake. I would not do that. I think that she could show up at some point. I've come to actually really like X-23 in the comics. They've even done an old woman X-23, like Old Man Logan, Old Lady Laura. That sounds horrible. But she's cool. I think her name is Talon in the comics. I kind of like it. But I don't think you should only have X-23. You have to have Wolverine still. And that's right, Active Mind Production. Daveed Diggs is both black and Jewish, so could potentially do that kind of representation. And Active Mind Production is pointing out that he is black Palestinian. So the world is a very diverse place these days. Certainly more so than when these comics were originally created. All right, let me look at this poll. All right, 48% of you think depends on the actors, although 33% of you say, heck no. This is an anonymous poll, so everyone can speak freely. That's surprising to me. If I were Kevin Feige, that would make me a little nervous, 33%. And 18 though, but still, 70% of you basically are fine with it, or depending on the right actors, but 33 is high. Let's see here. Thanks, DL. King of Diet Coke says they still haven't given Zemo his comics accurate uniform. It was pretty close, I have to say. And you don't want to make, that actor, I forgot his name, he doesn't work enough. Daniel something, walk around with a sock on his head all the time, right? Neutral Man 91 says it won't flop, but is there a chance that Deadpool 3 isn't good? It might be too much. No, I don't think so, because Ryan Reynolds is there for quality control. I think that just like Tom Hiddleston protects Loki, Ryan Reynolds protects Deadpool. Now, I think Hugh Jackman has tried to protect Wolverine, and he means well, but he clearly is not good at quality control. Just like, Margot Robbie tries really hard and isn't great at quality control. Let's see if she turns it around with Barbie. So far, I think it was a little bit of a mixed reaction out of the premiere yesterday. The non-premiere press screenings are next week. But yeah, so that's let's see. But I think the short answer is Ryan Reynolds will not allow anything to happen here, so don't worry about it. All right, let's see. Lisa says, I think this poll shows that 33% of people don't understand the importance of diversity. I think that's true, Lisa. I think, X-Men needs to be a diverse film to succeed. And I think, though, you have to balance it and find a way to do it right so that you don't have your film hounded, like the way The Little Mermaid was, which was really horrible to see, and I think really did hurt that movie. And so I think you have to strike the right balance. I personally feel that Giancarlo Esposito and Denzel Washington would be a pair that would. And then maybe, you just boil it down to the people who that is the issue. But you want to make sure it feels right. But yeah, the X-Men has always struggled with, diversity. And, there's like Bishop, that's right, TM. Bishop is a cool character. There's Storm, obviously. But, there's colorism has also been a huge issue with the X-Men movies. And so that's something else they'd have to really work hard to combat. That's right, little baby pizza. It can't feel forced. It has to feel right. Elliot Bullock says, mixed. I've only seen 2 mixed reactions from Barbie. Well, Elliot, that's because everything that comes out of I'm not saying it's not a great movie, but just remember that initial reactions are always overwhelmingly positive. So in my opinion, the fact that 2 people even did a mixed reaction was very telling. And I also think that, as people pointed out, and kind of you could read between the lines, it seems that what I was told about the movie is true for Barbie, that it's being advertised as a blockbuster, but it's really an Oscar movie. So it's going to be very message heavy, and it's going to have a strong message. And I'm curious, I have to see it myself, but that all clicks with what I heard about the film. And that's what's being said, if you pay attention. H. Ty says, here are possible choices for Magneto. Ian Buchanan, Jimmy Smits, Sean Bean, Robbie Benson, and Tony Goldwyn against Giancarlo Esposito as Professor X. That's right, you could just race bend one of them. That's right, screen favorites. Darwin got the worst treatment. It was horrible in the movies. Nate Jones says, I don't think Disney protected Halle Bailey enough. They really should have had a stronger movie. And I thought the movie was great. I thought the movie was really good. But I think they did protect her. I think it was a really bad situation. And then your little brother Gabriel says, I think it's ironic because the X-Men is supposed to represent diversity. POC and LGBT should be at the forefront. I think it should be equal. I think you want a little, but I think they need to definitely be represented. I don't know. I think the forefront is flipping it potentially too much. But I think that they should definitely be a meaningful and legitimate, like a third part of the group, and there, of course, some overlap, but it's very important. DL Nugro points out it is called X-Men. I would not change the name. I know that they made that joke about X-Women, which I thought was very fun. I thought that was a funny joke because the women on the X-Men are the most famous and often the most powerful. Female X-Men characters are phenomenal. So I thought that joke was fine that Jennifer Lawrence got to make. Well, it was like more of a burn than a joke. So that was fine with me. But I don't want to change the name. It's still called Mankind. I guess you could also now say Humanity. But X-Men is fine. Yeah, I agree. See, it's just as Chad said. The joke is fine. You can make the observation, but I think the X-Men is the name of them. Nick Dean makes a good point. X-Men is like human and woman. That's right. We're not coming up with a new term for women. It's fine. Although Elia X Peeps can get honorable mention. That's funny. That's great. All right, so I think that's everything. We've had an hour-long stream discussing this. I better get on to movie math and stuff like that. So thank you so much for joining me. I had a wonderful time going over this with you. If you did not join live, I look forward to hearing your thoughts down below in the comments. And the next live stream, if it's not tomorrow, it will definitely be on Wednesday because that's when the Emmy nominations will drop. And we'll play a live version of who should win and who will win. Maybe we'll do a play-along where you guys, at least for the major categories, that's what we'll do. You'll be able to vote. It might slow us down just a scooch, but I think it'll make it real fun. Hey, Tennessee, that was very generous of you. Thank you so much. So bookmark, that'll probably be so that you can join in. It'll be like around 12 or 1 o'clock. It'll be between 12 and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard. Is that when it's dropped? Yeah, because the Emmy nominations drop at 11 a.m. So I need time to put together the stream. So it'll be like probably no later. Like let's just say it's going to be like at 1 p.m. We'll do 1 p.m. That's when the live stream is going to be, so that you can mark it in your calendar. 1 p.m. So I have time to build it. Eastern Standard. All right, everybody. I love you. See you soon. Bye bye.